Okay, let's do an application of the volume of a cone. This will also include the volume of the cylinder as well. So I have a problem here, and that we're to assume that this, we see a cone sitting on top of a cylinder, and we're going to assume that this is a piece of steel. Okay, and steel weighs, so let's say steel weighs, steel weighs, what's it say here? We've got 0.283 pounds per cubic inch. Cubic inch. So every cubic inch weighs 0.283 pounds. Okay, so that tells me I need to figure out the dimensions on this piece of steel over here, so I can figure out its volume, and then I can measure how much it weighs. So we're given here, and in this picture we're actually given, so we're given that the width of the base down here is 2.25 inches, and we're given that the height of the cylinder is 4.5 inches, and the height of the cone is 1.5 inches. Okay, so let's first find, so we need to find the volume of this thing. The volume of the cylinder is easy, so volume, I'm going to say VC for volume of the cylinder equals, because if we look at the cylinder, this thing is uniformly shaped all the way up. So anything that has a uniform shape all the way up is just the area of the base times the height. So we get pi r squared h, which equals 3.14, and I should say approximately equals, because we're rounding that, 3.14 times r squared means the radius times the radius, 2.25 inches times 2.25 inches times the height is 4.5 inches. Oops. And somebody should say, whoa, 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 I just made a goof up. Let's start this all over here. Okay, so my problem was here that if you look, my radius is not 2.25 inches. That's my diameter. My radius is going to be half of it. So what this is telling me is that the whole way across is 2.25 inches, but I need halfway across. So let me go over here on the right. R equals 2.25 inches divided by 2, and we'll get what the radius is. That's okay, we all make mistakes. 2.25 inches divided by 2, 1.125. 1.125 inches. So now let's go back over here to the volume of the cylinder. So I'm going to do 3.14. Radius times radius is going to be 1.125 inches. Times 1.125 inches times the height. What's the height? 4.5 inches. Oops. 4.5 inches. That's my radius. So volume of the cylinder equals, that's calculator, clear it all out, we got 3.14 times 1.125 times 1.125 times 4.5, and we get the total volume is 17.883. 17 point, now I want to round there, 17.883 cubic inches. Okay, so that gives me the volume of all this. Now I want to find the volume of the top piece. So that's going to be the volume of the cone. So volume of the cylinder, volume of the cone. C is let me just say cone here. Cone in green. Now let's do the volume of the cylinder. Okay, and what did we get for our formula for that last time? I believe we got 1/3, right? 1/3 pi r squared h. And that's going to equal 1/3 times pi 3.14 times r squared. And so this radius down here is the same up here because this thing is uniformly shaped, at least up until the base of the cone. So we got just about the same mistake. 1.25 inches times, it's r squared times 1.125 inches times the height, and the height. And now make sure we're looking at the cone here, and the height of the cone is 1.5 inches. There's a lot going on in this problem. You really got to pay attention. Nothing that you can't handle, but you have to keep up with what you're doing. So the volume of the cylinder equals here. And again, let's save the fraction for last. 3.14 times 1.125 times 1.125 times 1.5, 5.961. So 1/3 times 5.961, and we've got inches, cubic inches. Okay, and we're multiplying by 1/3, so that's a fraction. We write everything as a fraction, and to multiply by a fraction, we do top times the top, bottom times the bottom. And we're going to get 1 times 5.961 is 5.961. Divided by 3 times 1 is 3 cubic inches. And we'll get here that we have 5.961 divided by 3. So 1.987 cubic inches. Okay, so here in red, the volume of the cone to be 17.883 cubic inches, and here in green we have the volume of the cylinder to be 1.987 cubic inches. So we have our total volume, and I'm just going to call that VT down here, to be 17, so volume of the cone plus volume of the cylinder, which equals 17.883 cubic inches plus 1.987 cubic inches, and well, that's a total volume equals 17.883 plus 1.987. 19.87. So that's going to be the total volume here. And what we wanted to find was how much this thing weighs. So each cubic inch, up here we see that let's go in blue. We haven't done blue in a while. We see that each cubic inch weighs 0.283 pounds. Okay, so and we want to find out how much this thing weighs. So if each cubic inch weighs 0.283 pounds, to figure out the total amount that it weighs, we simply multiply. Let me see if I can get my, oops. Let's get page 2 up here. So so we have, what's the total amount that we have there? Well, let me just do it on here. I'm having issues there, so I can do it over here. So we have, we're going to find the weight. W-E-I-G-H-T. Okay, and we have 19.87 cubic inches, and each one weighs 0.283 pounds per cubic inch. And so we'd simply multiply, and to really make that clear, if you multiply by 0.283 pounds per cubic inch, you see that the cubic inches cancel each other, and you're left with just the multiplication there. So I still don't like this. I want to go to a new page. So 19.87 cubic inches and we are multiplying by 0.283 pounds per cubic inch times 0.283 pounds per cubic inch. And when you write it out like this, I think it makes everything make sense, because the cubic inches cancel. You have a cubic inch on top and a cubic inch on bottom, and we're multiplying, so they're common factors and they cancel each other. And then we see that our total weight's going to be 19.87 times 0.283 pounds, and all we're left with is pounds. It forces the weight out. So 19.87 times 0.283 and 5.623 pounds. So 5.623. Okay, let's briefly talk about this for one more second. Okay, so we were given this piece of steel over here, and we were given the dimensions of it. We were told that 1 pound, so each cubic inch of steel weighs 0.283 pounds. Each cubic inch weighs 0.283 pounds. So we have to find the volume of this thing. So we broke it up into two pieces, found the volume of the cylinder, alright, and then we found the volume of the cone. And once we found the volume, we used the fact that each cubic inch weighs 0.283 pounds. And over here on the second page, we'll see, so we have 19.87 cubic inches times 2.283 pounds per cubic inch, and that gives me a total weight of 5.623 pounds. And that's going to conclude this video on the application of the volume of a cone and the volume of a cylinder.